Most of Mustafa Kemal's life was spent on the battlefields. He was a leader who kept his tears inside. According to his close comrade Ali Fuat Cebesoy, Ataturk was seen crying only twice. And one of those moments happened on July 29, 1922. The war in Anatolia was not yet over. The resistance that had begun in Samsun in 1919 had continued for 3 long years. The victory at Sakarya had been won. The army had caught its breath. Yet the final chapter of triumph was still unwritten. Women carried food and ammunition. The elderly baked bread for the army. And children hauled ammo boxes with their bare hands. Because this war was no longer only a soldier's fight. It was the struggle of an entire nation to exist. The Greek army standing against them was no ordinary force. Equipped with British munitions and trained in European discipline, its soldiers believed they would hold Anatolia forever. But the front line was not made of Greek flags alone. Behind them moved an unseen hand, Britain. Ships were bringing ammunition across the Aegean, their engines humming beneath the fog. And behind the curtain stood 2 more silent figures, France and Italy. They had left the battlefield, yet around the tables of diplomacy, they were still calculating their share of Anatolia. In those very days, as the Feast of Sacrifice drew near, Ataturk decided to send a delegation to the front. The purpose was not only to celebrate the holiday, but to lift the army's spirit, to carry the nation's prayers into the soldiers' hearts. Leading the mission was Ali Fuat Cebesoy. Beside him stood the national poet Mehmet Akif Ersoy and several deputies. No one knew that this visit would soon turn into a sacred vow. July 29, 1922. On the front lines, the soldiers were weary, but there was light in their eyes. Akif walked among them, looked into their faces, and then began to whisper the lines he had written himself. The poem consists of 4 lines. Silence fell, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The soldiers' eyes filled with tears, yet their heads remained high. Akif, seeing the resolve in their gaze, struggled not to weep himself. That day, those verses were no longer a poem. They became an oath. The delegation returned to Ankara. Cebesoy told Mustafa Kemal Pasha what he had witnessed, how Akif's voice trembled, how the soldiers had listened in silence. The poem consists of 4 lines.
Ben ezelden beridir hür yaşadım, hür yaşarım. Hangi çılgın bana zincir vuracakmış şaşarım. Kükremiş sel gibiyim, bendimi çiğner aşarım. Yırtarım dağları, enginlere sığmam, taşarım.
Ataturk listened quietly. He lowered his head, and for a long moment said nothing. Then tears rolled down his cheeks. In that instant, the great leader was not merely a commander-in-chief, but a heart burning for his homeland. According to Cebesoy, the Pasha had cried only twice. Once that day, and once more, in another story yet to be told. He wiped his tears, paused for a moment, and then spoke the words that would echo through history. Pasha, we shall be victorious. It was not a prediction. It was faith, a declaration of destiny. 1 month later, on the morning of August 26th, fog covered the plains of Afyon. Mustafa Kemal Pasha raised his binoculars, looked toward the horizon, and uttered a single word. Attack.
Bastığın yerleri toprak diyerek geçme. Tanı. Düşün altındaki binlerce kefensiz yatanı. Sen şehit oğlusun, incitme, yazıktır atanı. Verme dünyaları alsan da bu cennet vatanı.
Our story ends here. But the journey isn't over. We'll be here for the next story. And we'll be waiting for you.